Rick, let's do it.
Hey, good morning, Keith Jones. I'm raring to go. What you got on your mind?
The title of this podcast is going to be The Descent into Victimhood Can Be Subtle. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. I had a recent experience a few weeks ago that myself and some really great friends, Julie and Christina, were instrumental in helping host a pickleball event for Mayo Clinic staff. It was a way to support their well-being, bring groups together, employees together that normally don't work together, and some that do. So it was this most amazing event. So you say, well, how could a victim show up there? Well, Keith 1.0 showed up. And so there's a lot of coordination for this kind of event. So there's a whole backstory that really just is only relevant because it serves as the reasons that the victim shows up. Like it's like, hey, it helps them make their case. And in this case, no pun intended, it helped me do exactly that. So a lot of work went into it. A couple of weeks, Christina worked very, very hard on setting up links and a survey as well as a sign up form and flyer. Julie was instrumental in printing all the forms we needed and helping organize the day of. Had a couple of volunteers come out and help us. It was fantastic. Now, there were over 30 people that signed up for it. And part of those 30, I didn't do the ToBeRe thing that people, they don't know ToBeRe, that once you make a commitment, you made a commitment, so you show up. But we reserved courts that took those courts out of rotation from the members or the residents in the community in which I live. So I didn't want those courts to go to waste. So we were counting on at least 28 people showing up, which would have meant that the 7 courts that we reserved would have been used and not go to waste and not be available for the members who live in that community.
Hmm.
So 10 people were no-shows, Rick, and the victims showed up hard. Like, I can't believe these people didn't show up. They should have been here. And it was so distracting that I came very, very close of missing out on the joy that was being had all around me. There was such an infusion of exuberance and excitement and people connecting. And it was going all around me. And for minutes, I would go in and out of consciousness in which I'd be thinking about the people that didn't show up. So, for example, while we were trying to put the teams together, I was like, oh, this person isn't here. You know, the victim would be like, it would have something to say. If somebody left early because, the people committed to 3 hours of being there, and it was a beautiful day, Rick. It was 78 degrees in Phoenix. It was a beautiful day, and people weren't there. So what I'm getting at is, if you're not careful, that victim that's inside of you that showed up for me that day would have made me will make you miss out on some really beautiful things that are occurring around you. The feedback after that event of how everybody felt about being with their colleagues, connecting, being outside, out in nature, how fun it was to do this really playful game, that is available and accessible for all levels. There's no barrier to entry. We provided the paddles, so you didn't have to spend any money on paddles or balls. We provided the courts. I mean, it was a perfect setting, and I almost ruined it because I was distracted by the people that didn't show up, or my mind making that a problem. And people do that in the workplace every day. There's call outs. People make that a problem. So they think there's a call outs making them not, really have a great day at work. But it's not the call outs. It's your inability to handle they're not being call outs. And the same thing with me, with those 10 people that didn't show up. I went so far as to make a declaration. I'm never doing this again. What? All the joy that everybody had, I'm saying I'm never doing this again. So it took me about 24 to 36 hours to get myself together to I'm like, no, I can do it together. Now, I may have some guidelines moving forward so that we get the most out of the event, but I'm not going to let that be the reason that I don't do it. Not that people didn't show up, because that's going to happen. The fact that I was not able to handle people not showing up is what needs to go. So that's what I want to talk about, Rick, is that descent into victimhood can be very, very subtle. And so you really have to be on your P's and Q's, be conscious and be aware. I was not aware in certain situations. I'm really aware. I go into a presentation, I'm aware that things may not go right. the PowerPoint presentation may not work right. The audio, video for people that are virtual may not work as we like. The recording may not happen. There are many things that happen. I'm prepared for those scenarios. This is one in which I wasn't prepared for. And the wise thing would have been to do is to wake up that morning and say, Keith, it's not about the event. It's about you being conscious no matter what unfolds during the event. But for some reason, I didn't do that. But I'm back on the horse, Rick. So give me some wisdom.
Well, that's really great, Keith. I think the key was that you were aware of your behavior and you were noticing how insidious it is, how strange and how creeping it is that it comes upon you, victimhood. I noticed that in myself quite a bit, and I think that's a natural condition of humans because I think for me, I'd have to admit that life isn't just the result of the actions of others. Taking responsibility is a great thing, but on the other hand, when you take the responsibility of others performing in a certain way and they don't, then you're into the bubble of victimhood again. So I think part of it has to do with us being in control and wanting to be in control. And,
Yes.
uh, and the victim mentality allows us some kind of perverse control. In other words, I can't help it because I'm a victim. I can't help what happened today with all these people not showing up, but I'm damn mad about it. And I'm a victim of you guys not thinking that I was important enough, and my work setting this up or wasn't worthy of respect enough that you showed up. And that victim mentality, where you're looking at the actions of others in determining your own personal peace of mind is difficult. I think that there's also something that happens to me anyway with victimhood. I was thinking today's Saturday morning, and I was thinking, oh, I got to work today and I got to work tomorrow, and then I've got this trial coming up, and I'll probably have some trouble here. And I just don't want to do it anymore. I just think I've done it enough, and I've had all the breaks that I need. I really think that I'm out of luck, and so when I show up, I'm going to lose. That kind of stuff. That what I analyze about myself is that creates kind of I don't know, a self-sympathetic view, like, okay, you can't help it, Rick. You don't really need to prepare because the bad things are going to happen anyway. So it means that I am not really in my driver's seat of my life. What I'm doing is I'm allowing the idea that I can't do anything about my life to take over. And that I think is an enormous mistake. And Keith, I want to congratulate you on not wallowing. We could do that. We could say, I'm a victim here because they didn't respect me enough to show up, and I'm not doing it again. And you flirted with that idea, but you snapped right out of it. And I think that's to your credit, of course. One last point on the victimhood. I think part of my problem with the victim mentality is that it has some kind of component that involves the unconscious seeking of validation
Yeah.
and help from other people. When I'm playing the poor me card, I'm generating sympathy, right? So I'm unconsciously seeking validation from other people about whatever it is that I'm going through. And I once I identify that, then I can get past it. But identifying it is not fun because the ego doesn't want to show you flaws, right? It wants to say, they're the ones who did all the problems. If only you did what I wanted you to do, there'd be no problem. Anyway, I applaud you on turning that thing around.
Rick, thank you so much. I owe it to a lot of all the people that showed up and helped me, as well as the people that didn't show up. It was an opportunity for me to really see that there's more work to be done. No one noticed that I was bothered, but I knew it. And they said that, I was very agile and I made changes right there on the fly and just everything that I did really well with that. So there was that, that part went well, but it's the other part, I really missed out, but it was a really fun project to collaborate with others on. And the last thing that you said was what the payoff is to the victim is that validation, right? And fortunately, I have so many friends around me that are on this path They gave me no validation. No, when I said, you know what, I'm never going to do this again. Christina and Julie didn't say, you know what, you shouldn't. Like I wouldn't either. No, they didn't say that at all. It's like, man, I really had a good time. So many people had a good time. They kept trying to bring me back over to the path, and I did. A good night's sleep, and my practice got me back over on the path, and it was a really, really great opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. Just showed me what the limitations were, and I'll be better next time.
I want to also add one point that's very important to hear your your path here in this situation. It's very important for me to hear the fact that you were going into an area that you've remedied, that you've stopped doing, that you've fixed from the past. But we still go back to that all the time. We still return to our old ways. And I think we have to do what you did, and which was to be compassionate. Be compassionate to yourself
Yeah.
about your recovery. Okay, I strayed from the path. Let's get back on the horse. It's the same story with fitness or something where you've more or less mastered, let's say, control of your anger, and then you fly off the handle at somebody. You're aware of it. You're compassionate. Okay, I screwed up, but I'm not going to let that determine a new paradigm for me. I'm going to not go back to the old way. I'm going to stick to my path, which is what you did. So self-compassion is really, really important in all of the stuff that we're talking about with respect to staying on the path and being mindful of what you really want, which is the inner peace, the sense of being in control of your life, the sense of understanding that we always have the opportunity to control our attitude and we can't control the circumstances, and being compassionate about when we fail to realize those things, and then getting right back on the path.
Awesome. Rick, thank you so much. I love you.
I love you, Keith. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.